Yeah, I haven't even turned my camera on, but if you need to do one for yourself, go ahead.
Yeah.
If I can get it, I'll get it.
Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Anybody else need a mic check? 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. He probably will talk louder than me. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Are you good? Are you good? You want to test it, Mark? Test, test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Oh, goodness. Lots of microphones.
So, did you get a printed copy?
Yeah, just in case. Everybody okay? Having done this once or twice, I'll go ahead and tell you my name is Matt Owen, Mattowen. I'm the president and CEO of New Chapel Fire and EMS. Over the last 7 months, members of the New Chapel organization have been appalled, just as appalled as the rest of our community, to learn about the allegations brought against a person who has led this organization for more than 30 years. Following Jamie Knoll's arrest in November, he was placed on an administrative leave, and a process began to have him removed from our company accounts. At that time, an internal investigation was initiated. On January 12, 2024, the Board of Directors made the decision to separate from Jamie Knoll regarding his employment as CEO. We have and continue to cooperate with investigators with the Indiana State Police, the State Board of Accounts, the Indiana Department of Revenue, and other agencies involved in the investigation. The Board of Directors have taken many steps to implement safeguards for the organization, such as restricting purchasing authority and implementing new internal financial controls. These measures will prevent any one person or position from having unilateral control over company assets moving forward. We've also restructured our leadership. Lieutenant Colonel Tim Franklin has been appointed as fire chief and will be handling all matters pertinent to the fire division of the organization. Colonel Paul Holcomb has been appointed as deputy chief and will serve as vice president of the organization. I have been appointed as chief and will serve as president and CEO of the organization. As a part of this restructure, the command staff and I are working to change the manner in which we approach how we serve our communities. First, we are working to change our staffing model here in the New Albany Township Fire District from a split company model to a dedicated fire company running calls out of our Station 1. Previously, under a split company model, duty crews who are dual certified would respond to calls for service in the appropriate apparatus depending on the call type. This has led to instances where firefighters would get tied up on ambulances for extended periods when they could have been standing by for fire-related calls for service. This change is being facilitated in anticipation of a renegotiated contract with the New Albany Township Fire District that will better protect the taxpayers of Floyd County and elevate the response from the fire department when needed. On the EMS side of the organization, we are also taking steps to improve the level of service provided through enhanced training initiatives. Paramedic Sergeant Jordan Bullard has been appointed as our new full-time EMS training officer and will be working in conjunction with our medical directors and quality manager to provide clinical oversight and feedback to our clinical staff in the field. Additionally, we're working to establish a state-certified training institute which will provide for additional training opportunities for our in-house staff as well as the community. This initiative will lead to the certification of more EMS personnel in order to help reduce response times. I want to reiterate to the community something that I have said repeatedly to our staff and to many of our public safety partners. The situation which has led us to where we are is something that we're going through. This is not who we are as an organization. The men and women of New Chapel Fire and EMS are committed to enhancing our organization in order to more closely live up to the potential that we always knew was here, but was held back for reasons which were not previously clear. We are dedicated to rebuilding the public trust that has been taken from us, and we will not let the actions of one individual keep us from pursuing our mission of responding to the needs of our community by answering every call to provide a prompt response, proper hazard mitigation, professional and courteous care, and safe transport. I appreciate you all coming out, and we'll be happy to take questions.
How many fire calls could you not respond to because you had the firefighters in an ambulance?
I don't know that there have been fire calls that have not been responded to. Every call has been answered that I'm aware of.
Was there a delay because of the staffing model?
The staffing model in the past has been unique in the sense that a fire truck may get to the fire scene, but the crew needed for fire suppression may arrive in an ambulance. That's that split company model that I was talking about, and that's what we're moving away from.
Does that do anything to increase response times? I know that's been kind of under debate with some of the city council.
I'm sorry, the question.
Response times for EMS, is that going to do anything to address that?
So we're going to address our response times for EMS through two ways. We're going to reallocate some of our assets. You'll see starting on March 25th, we will reestablish our EMS unit that's going to be in the north part of the county in partnership with Monroe Township Fire Protection District. That's an asset that was deployed Monday through Friday in the past. It'll be operating 7 days a week starting March 25th. Additionally, those training initiatives that I talked about, providing for more certification courses to produce more EMS employees and clinicians, that's going to be how we solve response times in the future.
You had previously mentioned a third-party audit. Is that completed? Is that going on right now?
That is not completed yet. The board has expressed that we want to bring in an auditing firm that's third party to look up and down the organization. That has not started yet because we are still waiting to get documents back from the investigation.
Do you know who that auditor is?
I do not.
When you say you all have separated ties from Jamie Knoll, was he fired? Was it a conversation with you and stepped down? What was that?
The board of directors decided to end his employment.
When was that? Was it in January?
That was January 12th, 2024.
Where was
He was placed on administrative leave following his arrest on November 10th.
When was the agreement signed when he was still fired?
That agreement is dated August of 2023. That current agreement is dated August 2023 and is still in effect because we cannot confirm that all of our property has been returned.
What do you want to say to people who are thinking, you know, these are the people who let this happen when he was still there? Where were the warning signs, all that stuff?
I think those are fair questions. I think it's important to understand that we are the people who have taken the action after seeing what's in front of us to remove that from this organization.
How did his spending $3.4 million over a couple of years impact the company?
I think that's a subject that's going to be seen as the investigation plays out and the court proceedings and the charges that are filed against him are given by the investigation.
But did it have an impact, like did that affect your ability to operate because there was hundreds of thousands of dollars or sometimes these things went on?
We certainly could have used additional funding for better equipment and a greater response, yes.
Do you have any concerns that these allegations could impact your physical stability moving forward?
We don't have any indication right now that we're on unstable ground moving forward.
You hope for restitution of any kind, or is that going to be a possibility to get a lot of the money back?
That's something that we've discussed, the board has discussed with our legal counsel, and also something that's been discussed with the State Board of Accounts.
So it's been 4 months since you got arrested. You guys are sitting here right now talking to us. What do you want people to know? Why are you doing this?
We want the public to understand that, as I said, this is something that we've been going through. This is not who we are. And the men and women who work in the field every day are not responsible for the actions of one person. And we're going to work and show our dedication to the community to rebuild that trust.
Matt, is this restructuring an attempt to save the company? I know that Clarksville, there are lots of contracts up in the air and other entities looking at establishing EMS service on their own.
Yes, so we've addressed that a couple of times. We don't have any opposition to more EMS assets being in the community. I think more ambulances in the community is a good thing. We just want to be able to do our part to make sure that there is a sustainable service provider in the area.
What was the governing board before the current governing board? I mean, was all power vested in Jamie?
I can't speak to that. That was not something that I was a part of, so I can't speak to that.
Were you a board member before August?
I was not. Anything else?
Do you have information on what you all have paid for the agreement with the pole barn?
It's been minimal. I know since I have, well, so we're still tracking that information. The pole barn agreement said that the company would cover expenses related to utilities at the pole barn. I know that since Mr. Knoll's arrest, we've only made one payment for a gas utility. Any other payments I'm not aware of.
Any comment on his daughter being arrested and charged in connection with the case and the fact that more people are being arrested and just the net seems to get wider, I guess?
Yeah, not in related. I don't have any comment related to any specific person. We have had an indication from the investigation that there are no current board members currently expected to be charged.
What about employees?
I don't have any information about that.
Regarding the split staffing, there was a fire on Bud Road back in January 3623.
Yes.
Was that an impact because fire trucks may have arrived if you needed crews to get there in an ambulance to begin fire operations?
So there was the first arriving unit arrived from our Bud Road station, which is a total volunteer station. The second arriving unit from New Chapel was from this house, and that unit was fully staffed, I believe.
I thought New Albany Township contracted with you guys to pay for equipment at Bud Road. Is that not accurate?
We have employees that run out of here full time, and the Bud Road station is a volunteer station. Talk about timing.
Keep going back to this pole barn agreement. Is that a contract that you said you're staying in to make sure that you get all your equipment back? Or does that have a term limit on it? Are you required to keep paying utilities right now?
We are no longer paying anything for the pole barn.
Is all the equipment working in this station currently?
Yes. Such as, like,
Fire truck, I mean,
yes. Yes. We have an engine that is normally in this bay that is at our maintenance shop today. Yes. Promise that was not planned. You know, one thing that, well, I guess I should wait for the other guys.
Sorry, we grab things like that when they're.
No worries, man. No worries.
So you guys are still clearly making calls.
Absolutely. Through this entire process, service has not been impeded. We've never not had service providers ready for calls. What I would like to kind of emphasize is that in regards to the contracts we hold, especially for EMS, we're not restricting as an organization our contracted partners to the assets that they're contracted for. Last week we had a situation in Floyd County where we had 5 calls for service in 56 minutes. And that's in a county that contracts for 2 24-hour ambulances. All 5 calls in that 56-minute period got an ambulance response. The 5th call was a CPR in progress, and I had a 6th call at this station, or a 6th ambulance at this station ready for another call if it was necessary. We're committed to making sure that Clark and Floyd counties have a good system in place that is sustainable for the call volume that we have. And we don't always see that in how our elected officials are contracting for emergency services. Anything else?
Do you believe you'll be able to keep the Floyd County contract? I know that they tabled it to discuss looking at fire-based type of system.
I'm not sure. I did approach County Commissioner about proposing a staffing model that would incorporate the fire-based model in the Highlander Fire District. I was told that's not what they were looking for, and that was just a few weeks ago. So potentially that's something that we could work on with the county if that's what they're interested in. But if they'd rather go with another provider, we just want to ensure that the county has adequate resources for the call volumes that they experience.
If you don't end up getting the Floyd County contract this time, will that impact operations in Clark County or otherwise?
We don't, the Floyd County contract is not consequential to us continuing operations, no.
Do you have enough staff to do the new model that you're going forward with?
With the Floyd County contract?
No, sorry, with the fire crews.
Oh,
beginning of the customer.
no, that's a great question. In regards to pulling staffing to a fire company only, we will have to have a hiring process initiated. Chief Franklin has already put together what that process will look like, what those standards are for new firefighters that are potentially going to come on board, and that's something that should be public rather shortly.
You know what your needs are? 10, 15, 5?
Well, it depends a little bit on what the interest is from some of our employees that are already here. So I can't speak to that specifically. It's 9 members total is what the model is, but I don't anticipate that we will need to hire 9 people.
I just have one more thing. I think this was asked a little bit differently, but what oversight, if any, was there over Junie Knowles' actions here?
I can't speak to that.
Who could? Is there anybody?
I think that is something that will be explored through the process of the criminal investigation. Well, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody's, the public's support.
And let me ask you this real quick. With the forthcoming audit, is that also going to include recommendations for restructuring, oversight, and those kind of things, or is that something that's already been worked on?
You mean the financial audit that we're
Yeah.
going to put ourselves through? I think that there will definitely be a lot of education that comes from having that audit completed. The board has already taken a lot of steps to implement additional controls into how we operate. We've taken a lot of some of those administrative responsibilities and spread those amongst various people so that no one person is controlling any of the assets of the organization. Double signatures on checks over a certain amount, having board approval for expenditures over a certain threshold, those types of things have already been put in place to try to safeguard the organization.
What are those amounts?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe anybody is able to sign a purchase agreement for more than $20,000 without board approval. I think it's any check over $10,000 has to have a dual signature.
What about any vehicle?
I'm sorry, it's any check over $5,000 that has to have a dual signature.
What about any vehicle sales, trades, purchases?
Those all have to be board approved.
What about your credit cards?
The board has to approve any credit application and also has to approve any card holder.
And that's already taking place now.
That is now, yes. Previous credit cards that have been utilized by the organization that weren't previously approved by this board are being isolated and no longer used by the organization.
Is this a completely new board?
Prior to August, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of how to answer that. Yes, essentially yes. I would just add that personally, we appreciate the support of the community for our people that are out in the field working. This is something that nobody that works in an ambulance had control over or had knowledge of, and it doesn't have to do with how they do their job. So support for the people who are out in the community answering those calls for service is very much appreciated. Thank you all very much.